So I just thought, actually, honestly, modern short stories in English rewritten with ninjas. Yes!
That would give you a reason to throw up the birthday cake. I mean, we're being attacked by ninjas.
But also, seriously,
it's the only defense against the ninjas.
It's all gone horribly wrong. Seriously, the thing about ninjas...
Is that why you get sick?
In the context of serious literature. No, seriously, okay. We were talking about werewolves and vampires earlier. In a way, it's the same thing. One of the things which is really cool about this kind of character is that a ninja is somebody who can take on an army and win.
Right.
And that's James Bond, that's all those characters. And basically, the hero in any action story is someone ultimately who will go up against a notionally more powerful group of people and win. And so then I had an army of ninjas, which is obviously ninja squared. No. Oh,
no. You can defeat an army of ninjas, but you cannot defeat a single ninja.
There
They're better alone.
All right,
There's
so that's
exactly
exactly
there.
So my main character obviously is going to defeat an army of ninjas, which one way or another makes him way cool. But actually, I think that's a really interesting point, just about storytelling. I really like. I think villains are always the thing that gives credence to the hero's strength, or the heroine's strength. And I think it's true, the most obvious thing is when you see that in the James Bond movies, you see Goldfinger. And Goldfinger is himself not particularly physically able, whatever, but he's scary. And you believe that he's dangerous and that he actually will. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. And lo and behold, he will indeed cut you in half with a laser beam, albeit slowly.
Well, it tells you his diabolical plan.
Yeah, it tells you his diabolical plan, but he kind of gets away with that. It doesn't matter when he does it. It's kind of, you think, oh God, yeah, I suppose he probably is going to irradiate the Western United States. And so at that point, James Bond, when beats him, is obviously a hero. I think there are some later movies which, they don't have that strength in the villain. So you're actually watching Bond kind of bouncing around the place going, yeah, he's got all the toys, and, he's got all this kit, and he's up against this nobody. So of course he's going to win. It's not exciting. So ninjas are my kind of counterbalance to having an impossibly, obviously the hero is always going to win, because I don't do unhappy endings, because again, that whole thing of sort of sad endings, it's fine up to a point, but you've really got to know where you're going there, because otherwise all you've really done is kind of take people into a dark place, having promised them a light one, and then I think they quite rightly I get peevish about that. There's a
lecture in Ninja.
Yeah, lecture in Ninja. There's a detective story, there's a novel, very highly thought of, which I read in translation the other day. Not that I was reading when I should have been working on the book, obviously. And you go through the whole thing, this kind of horrible series of events, and you get to the very end, and...
By Lemony Snicket.
No, that was just unfortunate.
Oh, right.
That was unfortunate, yeah, not horrible, yeah. And you go through this whole thing, and you've pretty much figured out who it is, and you know that the detective knows, and then he's in the flat above the villain, and doesn't go downstairs, and that's the end of the book. And I was just sitting there going, why? Could you not even just bang on the door and go, excuse me, I just thought you'd like to know that I did work it out. I'm not doing anything about it, but I just wanted to see your face when I told you it's you! And, I just don't understand why you leave it open. I'm sure there's some very strong thematic reason, but if you want to send a message, use the Royal Mail, So, yeah, I can't remember where I started that. Ninjas. Anyway, very good.
Ninjas.
Yeah. The point about it was, I think in our atomized society where a lot of us feel we've got rowed over by our government for the last quite a long time, the idea of a character who can defeat an army, the notion that one person can make a difference is really important. So, that's worth saying.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And the book after this?
Interesting. I have so many ideas at the moment, and I'm just writing them all down. And I've got the outline of a werewolf novel upstairs, as of about 11 o'clock this morning. Barefoot running, incidentally. We didn't get onto this in the panel, but I read this amazing book about barefoot running. And it's called Born to Run, prosaic enough, by a guy called Chris McDougall. Have you seen it? Basically, he was a basketball player and a sports journalist, got a little bit older and wanted to go running, and he lives in America, he's American, and he was told, you're not built for it, you can't run. And he said, well, come on, evolutionarily, you would suspect that, human beings can run, because otherwise, they've already said, no, you can't. And then finally, he tracked down this whole barefoot running thing, where you run with like an athletics run rather than a kind of heel-to-toe run. You run with the toe coming down first, and you don't wear the big shoes with the heavy soles, because apparently the thick sole doesn't stop you from injuring yourself, it stops you from noticing. He goes off down to the Texas-Mexico border, to the cotton canyons down there, whatever, and he runs with this extraordinary group, a tribe down there, who run from the moment they can walk, they run, and so on and so on. This is, I think, fascinating, and I'm totally bored by running generally, but obviously this had a theoretical component, so I was fascinated. So I started running, and it turns out to be really exhausting, don't like it very much. But I still do it because it is fun. It is fun because I feel kind of like intellectual satisfaction out of all these people running in running shoes, and I'm going, I'm running in barefoot shoes. So obviously I'm a terrible human being. But seriously, so we were talking about werewolves earlier, and I was like, well, clearly, the barefoot running movement is a werewolf thing. And that was something I would. So then I got off into it. Somebody mentioned bridle paths and rights of way, and I got very excited by that. So I wrote it all down. And this is what happens. The third book won't be the werewolf book. What will it be? I wonder. I think there's a story I want to tell. I read Michael Chabon's book, little tiny book, Sherlock Holmes story, The Final Solution. Did anybody read that? Michael Chabon, I think he's great. I think he's amazing. And this is he obviously is a Sherlock Holmes fan, because he's written this little tiny short thinky book, which is Holmes at the age of sort of 85, 90, solving this kind of problem.
Is that a recent one you did?
I don't know. It can't be recent, because I read it 2 years ago, or a year and a half. And it's just, Watson's not there, there's this old beekeeper, he never mentions it by name, the whole thing's very stylish. And it's just, I just really enjoyed it. And it sparked in me something. I wanted to tell a story about an old soldier and rescuing or adopting a small child in a war zone, which I know sounds really kind of Michael Winterbottomian and kind of Welcome to Sarajevo, but I'm going to take it in a whole different direction, inevitably, because that's really what I do. I don't know, I think, but I've got so many things I want to do that I wanted to tell a story about somebody being offered cryogenic suspension. I wanted to do another one. I don't know whether anybody heard it. I had a piece on Verve on Radio 3 a while ago, which was space opera in the style of Dylan Thomas. Sorry. It's great. I really enjoyed doing that. Somebody challenged me and said, can you write a science fiction story which is also literary? And I was like, oh, for God's sake. But actually then, when I had that whole kind of, do we have to go through this conversation again moment, I was kind of actually, all right, the ideas that I've had stemming from that slightly fatuous request are quite fun. So I pursued this one, and I'd really like to do the whole thing. And it begins, the beginning of Under Milkwood, I just riffed on that. So it begins, space is not inky or silky, it is a pea-jacketed working man's place. And it goes on like that. I had a great time with it, because I'm from Cornwall originally. I get very excited about trawler men. I think they're great. I used to buy fish. That sounded wrong. I used to buy I used to buy fish at the back of a trawler and, kind of things like that. Obviously I didn't swim out to it, it was in the dock. Handy safety tip, do not swim out to a trawler. All kinds of different stories I'd like to tell. And I just hope people will sort of follow along, because it's always going to be me telling a story. It's never going to be completely straight down the line. I wanted to tell a story about an American cricket team. I was discouraged from doing that. But I just had this thing with the guys, because you get those Hawaiian guys who are heavily into sumo, and I think that's really cool. So I thought, well, what if he for some reason couldn't do the sumo any longer, got into cricket instead? You've got some amazing stuff for that. Because I just thought that'd be amazing. It's not really lighting any eyes up. when I'm done with it, it'll be goddamn amazing.
Just be careful, there's somebody taking notes at the back.
Are they? Well, yeah, bon chance with that one. Broadly speaking, I'm reasonably confident about that sort of thing.